Mercedes Mone is the greatest female performer of all time. Well, if you ask her. Over the years, many performers have claimed that they are the greatest wrestler of all time. However, you can't just go out on a limb and call yourself the greatest to ever do it. Whether you like him or not, whenever Michael Cole calls John Cena the greatest of all time, it makes sense because Cena was a complete wrestler. He had excellent matches and feuds, he was great on the mic, and most importantly, he was a genuine needle mover. Whenever you call yourself the greatest, you have to back up your words. In Mercedes' case, the woman might actually be right. Her name deserves to be mentioned amongst the best females ever to do this. So today, let's see if Mercedes' words about herself ring true. My name is Mex. Click the like button and subscribe if you're new to the WrestleManiac UK YouTube channel, and let's get right into it. Before we see if Mercedes really is the best female star ever, it's best we look at the quote from her interview, which has caused a lot of the debate in the internet wrestling community. Speaking on the Ringer podcast, Mercedes didn't hesitate at all in putting herself over. She said, "They know who Sasha Banks is, but the CEO, Mercedes Mone, it's something different they've never seen before, and I'm ready to show them. I'm the greatest women's wrestler of all time, 100%. Whether you agree with her or not, you have to admire Mercedes' confidence in herself, and Mercedes has built up a great reputation which warrants statements like this. But to see if she's actually the best female performer, we're gonna have to take a look at her career so far. To call yourself the best, you need to have a strong resume. Mercedes had a great run in WWE as Sasha Banks, despite her frustrations with the creative towards the end of her run. Mercedes won the NXT Women's Championship and then went on to win the WWE Women's Raw and SmackDown Women's titles on several occasions. Despite how worthless the title is, Mercedes held the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship also on 3 separate occasions, twice with Bayley and once with Naomi, and we all know how that last one ended. Moving over to New Japan Pro Wrestling, Mercedes won the IWGP Women's Championship in 2023, and at the time of recording, she has recently defeated Willow Nightingale in a very good match at Double or Nothing to win her first AEW title, the TBS Championship. Mercedes is one of the highest paid female stars in all of wrestling, so to think that she will go on to win the AEW Women's World Championship does make a lot of sense, and this will only add to her already prestigious resume. However, Mercedes has accomplished a lot more than just winning championships. Mercedes became the first woman alongside Charlotte Flair to main event a pay-per-view in WWE history when both of the women clashed at Hell in a Cell in 2016. This was also the first ever women's Hell in a Cell match. Mercedes and Bianca Belair also went on to become the first 2 black women to main event a WrestleMania in 2021. This was one of my personal all-time favorite matches. Her fans are more than eager to follow her wherever she goes. That can be backed up by the fact that her debut at Wrestle Kingdom 17 brought in over 40,000 new subscriptions to New Japan World streaming service. So when it comes to championships and accolades, Mercedes checks all of the boxes. The matches Mercedes put on in NXT, along with other stars like Bayley, Charlotte and Becky, were a breath of fresh air. It was so cool to see actual women's wrestling in WWE, as the women's division was basically a joke in the early 2010s. Triple H had a vision for women's wrestling, and the 4 horsewomen were at the forefront of that vision. However, I'm going to give credit to the matches between Mercedes and Bayley in 2015 that made people realize that a change in the women's division had arrived. Those matches and the entire feud were a thing of beauty, and without those matches, the women's division might not be where it is right now. Despite being creatively frustrated with her position in the company towards the end of her WWE run, Mercedes gave her all inside the squared circle. She was one of the few stars who made the most of their time and always gave the fans something to talk about at the end of a show. You can't deny Mercedes is an excellent in-ring performer. She actually focuses on in-ring psychology, and she knows how to build the end of the match. She also knows how to get the crowd behind her or against her. Mercedes has had one hell of a career when it comes to matches alone, and she won't be stopping anytime soon. Mercedes' star power isn't just limited to the pro wrestling industry. She has also tried her hand at acting. She has appeared in the hit series The Mandalorian, and she made her film debut in a movie titled The Collective last year. Just like other wrestlers in Hollywood, Mercedes told TV Insider that she plans on continuing her acting career. She said, "I've gotten a lot of amazing opportunities last year in film and television. I think my Hollywood career is just beginning. In mixing that with wrestling, I want to be able to do both. It's the perfect time for that. I say, keep on watching." If Mercedes lands more significant roles in both TV shows and movies, her star power will only continue to grow, and this will do nothing but solidify her comments about herself. Now, you must be wondering what I do think about Mercedes Mone. I think Mercedes isn't wrong. She is definitely one of the top 5 greatest female stars ever, and one of my personal favourites. With that being said, during a Wrestle Extra livestream on this channel, pro wrestling commentator Gerard Bonner had the following to say.
It is always important to believe your own hype to some degree, you know, and I think in this case, she absolutely believes this. I don't think this is a character talking. I mean, we can go back to an interview she did on the WWE Network on Stone Cold's podcast, where she automatically felt like she should be paid the top in WWE, that, you know, I think there is a healthy dose of confidence needed in whatever you do. I also think that the person that should be calling you the greatest is not you. It should always be somebody else, because when you call yourself the greatest, you open yourself up to great scrutiny.
In this instance, I do agree with Gerard, and the one thing I would say Mercedes Mone is missing despite her accolades and star power is that one iconic run at the top of her game, where that would be the defining story or run of her career. Hey, maybe it's still to come. You can add a lot of female performers to the discussion of greatest women's wrestler of all time. Trish Stratus and Lita rightfully belong in that conversation for their trailblazing efforts. Becky Lynch might very well be number 1 considering how she got over and was a bigger draw than everyone else. Charlotte might be one of the greatest female stars in terms of an in-ring performer of the last 10 years. And Bayley belongs in the conversation for reinventing her gimmick from time to time and leading the women's division for many years now. Mercedes does belong in the conversation, and when everything is said and done, she might actually end up as the greatest women's wrestler of all time. But I want to know what you all think. Do you think Mercedes Mone is the greatest women's wrestler of all time? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more. And if you want more content, click the video on the screen now to hear about one of the greatest gaijins of all time in Jay White and how he's lost his way in AEW.